Welcome to SCBWI Carolina's Book Fairies First Look. I'm your host, Mickey Bear. Today, I am excited to introduce a prolific Carolinas region writer, Yvette R. Murray. Yvette is an award-winning poet and the author of Hush Puppy, Finishing Line Press 2023. She has been published in Chestnut Review, Aunt Chloe, Emery's Journal, Litmosphere, A Gathering Together, and other publications. She is the 2022 Susan Laughter Myers Weymouth Fellow, a 2021 Best New Poet Selection, a Watering Hole Fellow, and a Pushcart Prize nominee. Welcome, Yvette.
Thank you so much for that wonderful invitation. It's wonderful to be here.
So, before we get into the interview, let me
Yes.
introduce our viewers. With your latest release, Celebrate We Gullah Geechee, a kid's look at the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor. With rhythm and repetition to engage children, five narrators take turns highlighting what they notice in their world, each focusing on one of the five senses. We are there with them. A girl sees a haint blue door at Grandma's house, rocking chairs waiting on the porch. On special days, we hear the marching band play, ba-da-dum bum. Our hands explore the prickly bark of palmetto tree trunks. Through these sensory experiences, readers will honor and learn about the culture and traditions of coastal North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. With love that shines through every line, Celebrate We Gullah Geechee uplifts Gullah Geechee history and contemporary culture, spotlights the importance of family, community, and place, engages children with rhythmic writing and lots of onomatopoeia, and includes a section for adults with additional background information. Yvette, the collaboration of lyrical prose and extraordinary illustrations brings culture and history to life in an impactful way in this book. Tell us about how the book was developed.
This book actually started out as a board book, believe it or not. The idea of looking into all five senses came from the publisher because they're an educational publisher. I had been to a workshop and one of the editors said they had done a series on showing the colors. The book was originally called The Gullah Color Wheel. Actually, we just started with the colors, and I was saying that would be a great idea to introduce our young people to the culture and teach them their colors through things that they see. Now, the board book actually won the 2022 Color of Children's Black Literature, I think, contest. And when I met with the publisher, they thought they liked it, thought it was great, but because they're an educational publisher, they wanted to reach more of what our children are learning. And so they decided all five senses. And then after I had done three of them, they decided we're going to put it all together into one big book. And there it is.
Wow. But now, what was it like working with editors and an illustrator who are not from the area?
It was funny, actually. My direct editor and I got into this long conversation about pluff mud and what pluff mud smells like. You can just imagine how difficult that was to explain. And at first, she didn't want to use the word dirt. She thought dirt wasn't a good word. And I just had to tell her, but that's what it smells like. It is dirt. It's wet, fishy dirt. And then I said, kids love dirt though. So, looking in the book, you see the word did make it in there. And there were a couple of other funny moments. I had to do a lot of reference pictures to show people what the palmetto trees look like as opposed to palm trees. What the marsh actually looks like. Here in Charleston, there's marsh everywhere. And it was some comical moments that it's just because my illustrator is from Texas and she's never been here. So some things she didn't know about, but she was willing to learn about. You'll see there's a very beautiful illustration of a boy at the end of a wharf in the marsh, which is perfect because the outside of people's backyards, there are long, long wharfs that go all the way out, and people can walk along them, and they're actually right in the marsh. So it was very interesting. They were very eager to get it right, and that was so important because I just had to have it right the way that it actually looks here. And she did an absolutely amazing job. My editor was always willing to defer to me as the expert of what it is, what would be said, how this would go, how it would take place. And we had conversations about what you call the crab trap and what happens with the crabs when you put them in the water, and what is the pot like. So it was really an interesting experience sharing our culture in those details.
So you actually include 7 references and dedicate a page about the corridor in the back
Yes.
of the book. Can you
Yes.
talk about those resources and why they're included?
The resources come from, a lot of them come from the National Park Service. It comes from the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor Commission, because there's so much more. I have just touched the surface of the culture and the different venues that are here that people can visit. I learned a lot about places that are in Georgia and Florida that I never knew about, and I wanted to include them because it's important. These places are fighting the good fight, keeping the history there, keeping authentic Gullah grass dolls, authentic memorabilia there. And I wanted to hopefully encourage people to go and to visit. Spend some time at home seeing what's at home. One of the things I think about as far as living in Charleston is that we walk past stuff every day that is, people come all the way from the end of the country to come and see. And we walk past it every day. We don't have any idea what it is and its importance. So I wanted to include those things, kind of to direct people to those things so they could see. And even if they can't come and visit, you can Google that information. All of those are websites, hot links that people can get right into and see what's there, see how the culture is being preserved, and enjoy it and learn more about it.
Well, what is the most important thing you want readers to take away from Celebrate We Gullah Geechee?
How normal this stuff is. It's not something set away on a shelf, put behind glass. It's right there. You walk, although very carefully, on cobblestone streets. The wrought iron is everywhere. The red bricks. I really, I know where some are. I actually was in a building. There's a lot of buildings with exposed brick here, and so I was in the Charleston Library Society. They have a little nook and you can get coffee, and there's a spot with exposed brick, and I found some with the little fingerprints. I asked the historian to make sure that's what it was, because these bricks are many, many, many years old. And he said, yeah, that's what they look like. I also found them at McLeod Plantation. There was a very wonderful curator that used to be there. He showed me where they were in the bricks. And I've also found them at the Avery Institute as well. So, these are streets we walk down, places that we go. The important thing is that this history is preserved and that the Gullah Geechee are celebrated. Our ancestors did a wonderful job an amazing job. I can't even dream of what they had to go through, but they went through it and they laid a foundation for us that we are still building on today. And I just wanted to expose some of that.
What are your hopes for the book?
I hope that I did my first school visit yesterday, and some of the children were just enamored. And of course, they were old enough to say corridor, say Gullah Geechee. I gave a couple of the groups Philip Simmons, his name, and of course they were able to say it and repeat it. So I sent them home with assignments for their parents to tell them what you learned, tell them what you saw, and I hope to ignite an interest in them in our history. I hope that they will embrace the history and know that this is their history. It belongs to you, and that sense of pride in their little faces. Some of them were just looking and staring and listening and hopefully remembering how important this is and how it's right here. We talk about oak trees. There were oak trees right out the window. There are oak trees everywhere here, literally everywhere. There actually was a marsh right across the street from where the school was. So I was able to point to the marsh and just let them know that this history is important and that it belongs to them. And because the history is important, that means they're important too.
I love that. You are an accomplished poet and children's book
Thank you.
author.
Thank you.
What is next for you? What new projects do you have in the works?
I have a chapbook of poetry that I'm starting to work on. Also, another children's book that I want to do, a historical children's book. I have chosen the ambition of doing it in verse. So we will see how that works out. I know you can see in the book that each one of our children has a different voice, and that's what we wanted. We wanted them all to look different, sound different, and just show you their little personalities, which our young people are so full of personality.
Yeah, that makes it very relatable. That was one of the aspects I really liked.
Oh,
So
thank you.
we need to stay up to date on your work. How can your
Yes.
readers find information about your latest releases, events, and more?
I am on Instagram at Miss Yvette Writes. I'm actually on Twitter for now, X, excuse me, at Miss Yvette Writes as well. And then I do have a Facebook page that is my name, Yvette R. Murray. And information can all be found there. I will add friends, I will follow back, and definitely be a part of helping to share things and receive as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yvette, thank you so much for being our featured author this month on Book
Thank
Fairies
you.
First Look. Congratulations again on the release of Celebrate We Gullah Geechee.
Here she is. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.